Hi, student. Good evening. Today I will complete the explanation of the all five approaches in from John Creswell's book of 2013. This is the last fifth approaches is called the grounded theory. So this is the most dreaded, the least likely approaches that student we like to pick because they have some type of challenging like task to make a good enough information from enough sample size to create confidence and conviction of the value of the strength of the theory or explanation that will come out of this grounded theory, because grounded theory is basically a system when the researcher is trying to explain something, a phenomenon, and then they pick this phenomenon from the field, reality of life, and then they collect data and then they come out with explanation in form of a theory. So, and then maybe you think it's quite daunting task, but I think the secret here is very clear that these people, this researcher, only concentrate. It sounds like long-term physical activity participation, meaning that the title is not really that clear. I mean, the question is really what are the explanation for these ladies, these African American women, what are the stages that they take when they decide to take physical activities or exercises. As simple as that. It's just a process of decision making. When do they begin or decide to take physical activity or exercise? All right. So if there is nothing absolutely that nobody talks about before, there always someone talks about something. So this theory, this grounded theory research was based on previous theories as well, right? For example, this one, Frederick and Orenstein tell that there's a link of physical activity and health. Not only, so this is very common. Lack of exercise with leading causes of death, heart disease, hypertension, diabetic, and certain cancers, something. And then that's very general explanation. Many studies have attempted to verify this pathway, so they want to show which one is really tested, which theory is really working. So they apply many behavioral frameworks, because this is about behavior. When do those ladies start to exercise? As simple as that. Okay, you might think, you might laugh because this look like a silly story. Like they want to find out what are the thoughts, what are the stages, what are the steps that a black lady or African American lady decide to exercise. All right. And then the method, okay, this is very interesting, grounded method, because you need a lot of enough samples to get good conviction and good conclusion, right? So this is data collection analysis, which used to develop a theoretical explanation of human behavior grounded in data collected from those with that behavior. So this is exactly what the definition of grounded theory. So in this study, the grounded theory approach was used to develop framework, right, in by which physical activity is adopted and maintained among African American women. The study was approved by RRB, so this one is ethics. This is very important, the sampling. So according to the pattern, purposive something method is not by, you don't pick people by random, but you pick people because they have those behavior, they have those variables, right? You don't just pick anyone. Like anybody can have this variable, like money. Anybody has money in the pocket, so you don't need to purposely pick anyone. You just go to the street, stop somebody, and ask how much money do you have in your pocket right now. But that doesn't happen if you study about specific things that only specific people have. Like, for example, if you want to study African American women, absolutely you cannot just stop anybody. You really have to purposely pick African American women. Okay, so this is the purpose of sampling. The criterion to pick these cases are just specific criterion. For example, they must be African American, female, 25 to 45, complete college or technical school beyond high school, so, and commitment to physical activity. So really, you don't pick anybody here, not just African American women. They need to follow this. They need to have this criteria. Okay, so women have to be active at the recommended level for at least a year. You see how many women you can find with this criteria, right? And then participants were recruited through two local African American sorority alumni associations. So for university, it's easy to get these ladies because they went to study to school, high school, beyond high school. And then they make a contact, and data collection is doing by in-depth interview, face-to-face. Yes, of course, because this is about decision making to begin to exercise, right? It's the guided research question, but also they use the unstructured enough. Unstructured means you don't fix the question, you just leave it flow, leave it open. So this is quite challenging type of interview because people will go to different situation and they will give you different information. The guide was modified as the data collection proceeded to further refine questions, so they have to keep changing the question that start to collect more clearer patterns from the interviewees, right? And then two focus groups held. So focus group, two focus group is just some people together talk together. The purpose of this group was to disseminate the preliminary finding of the study and to gather feedback. You see, this is important. Usually we don't come back there after we write our report, right? But this one is careful enough just to come back and make a focus group discussion again, and they found that this is what we found. What do you think? So the participants give away their feedback, which is always good but it takes a lot of time to do this, right? And then all interviews and focus group were tape recorded with the permission, of course, and transcribed. Yes, you need to change it into a text. You don't put CD in your thesis. Transcribe the view and field notes will enter into Atlas TI. So this researcher used Atlas.ti, the one that reported in John Creswell book earlier, right? Did you remember? For analysis for program. And then sample size, and this is very important. Criteria is saturation. Saturation means like there's nothing that new will be coming. It's just like you put sugar in water, hot water. There's a point when no more sugar that can be put into the water anymore, simply because the water is already crowded with sugar. So it's the same. If you take people's interview result and then you will find out that they just keeping you the same thing, the same information, and nobody can give you anything new. That we call that you have to stop, because you just waste your time. You don't get anything new anymore by adding more and more people. All right. So this researcher decided they begin with 15 as a baseline, right? And then they keep adding until they reach the final sample size, until they find out that there's nothing new coming, so they will stop. That's the final sample size, right? And then 30 women and then they found 17 are eligible, 15 participate. So see, they got 15, and this is the process. Okay. Interviews were analyzed to determine the need for additional sampling. So they need sampling based on the depth. The scarcity of new information emerged for the last two interviews, so they have to add another two, because two of them did not return phone calls, so they really have to catch them at the end. And this is the most important thing part, the most interesting data analysis. How you do that? They create codes out of these 15 ladies. They create codes from each ideas and themes. that were conceptually similar in nature and related in meaning. So this is the thing that people do. We call it coding. Yes, it's coding, but for different approach, we'll be using different way of coding. The framework, you say you have to need a framework, and usually you make framework out of previous theories. All right, and then they find out that people decide. This is a fancy word for me. It's just how this lady decided to exercise, right? Then they found out that there are some stages here. They call it body mass index, whatever the information of these ladies. The model indicates a main flow through which women progress as two loops. They call it loops. It's like progressing activities flow. Three phases that happen into alternative loops: the initiation phase, transition, and integration. So it sounds like that's where they begin to exercise. Alternative loops are modification loop, the cessation loop. Cessation is like they stop, whatever, I don't know. Each pivotal activity is indicated by step around arrow. So these are the model that is created out of 15. Very interesting. So you might see it. Oh, it's very hard to see, but just in case you want to see, you have the book anyway. Just look at page to 354. Okay, so this is explanation. What is initiation phase? How it happened, and then many the juggling, and then before they decide to exercise, transition. And they move to transition. This time it took to progress to this phase vary. So when they decided to exercise, it's vary. And then integration, when they finally decide to exercise. Let's see. And this is what they found out of 15 ladies, right? And then these are explanations for modification and cessation loops. When the woman temporarily could not maintain their physical activity, so they just cease to do it, they stop doing that. Right? And then the discussion here, they find out that these are the framework that they found: planning, and then scheduling, planning, alternate from this schedule, session, going to the gymnasium. I don't know what they do, but these exercises. And then what they found is that this general study investigate the full process of physical activity, provide the best comparison to the current theories, or the theory that there is a theory that they follow. They say that it's best comparable to the current theory that is known. And this one, the Medina study or Medina's thesis showed TTM and RPM is providing support for the present study conceptualization. So this study is really come up along the line of Medina's studies of 1996. Okay, but still a lot of work to be done. You see, finally they don't make any theory. They just found out that the current theory is working. So you see, you don't make theory at the end. You just confirm someone else's theory. I mean, they think it's hard or easy. Sometimes, because if you don't find anything new, then you cannot pretend that you find something new. That is not ethical. It's cheating. It's not honest, right? So this is implication for the study and limitation of the study. Also, they choose, right? And then they analyze it. They admit that this limitation is that to maximize credibility and dependability, because it's 15 women, 15 samples. Sometimes very hard to find, right? Then you see at the end, it looks scary. Grounded theory, you have to make theory out of the data of 15 ladies, and at the end you say that no, I don't find any theory at all. I just confirm someone else's theory that we used before. The framework is almost the same. You see that? What's so hard about it? Okay, so next time, see you in other video.